Welcome to Audiomentors, the channel where we transform words into wisdom and knowledge into action. Today we begin a new work to continue feeding our mind and spirit, The Way to Prosperity by James Allen. This is an in-depth and detailed summary prepared exclusively for you, our community, with the purpose of extracting the best from this timeless classic. If you are passionate about growing as a person, understanding the principles of success, and learning how your thoughts build your reality, this book will be an essential guide on your path. Before starting, we invite you to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any episode. Here, every word is an investment in your personal development. Share this content with those you know want to transform their lives and join us on this exciting journey to prosperity. Let's start this journey full of valuable lessons together. Chapter 1. The Lesson of Evil. James Allen begins his work with a powerful statement. Evil is not an external force, but an internal experience that we all face. Illness, pain, hardship, and loss are universal, but instead of being enemies to be feared, they are teachers who invite us to learn and evolve. The author reminds us that no one escapes the shadow of evil. From the humblest to the most powerful, everyone experiences suffering. But what is its purpose? Allen leads us to understand that evil is corrective, not destructive. It exists to show us where we have strayed from the universal laws and to help us return to the path of wisdom, love, and peace. 1. Evil as a passing experience. Allen describes evil as a shadow that arises from our own actions, thoughts, and desires. Just as darkness has no independent existence, but is simply the absence of light, evil has no power of its own, but is the result of our ignorance. Every time we allow our thoughts to be dominated by hatred, envy, fear, or anger, we cast shadows in our lives. However, by understanding these emotions and transforming them, we can eradicate the darkness and allow the light of good and truth to shine within us. 2. Suffering as a teacher. Pain and hardship are not punishments, but lessons. Every suffering we face has a message for us, but many times we refuse to listen to it. Instead of learning, we complain, blame others, or try to escape. Allen invites us to reflect. What can I learn from this experience? If we approach suffering with an attitude of humility and patience, we will discover that behind every pain there is an opportunity to grow in strength, wisdom, and understanding. For example, a man who faces repeated failures in his life may need to learn the lesson of perseverance or humility. A person dealing with health issues may need to review their habits and thoughts to align their life with the laws of balance and harmony. 3. The true cause of evil according to Allen. All evil has its roots in ignorance, in not understanding the laws that govern life. These laws are universal and immutable, and acting against them always brings suffering. A clear example is the law of cause and effect. Whatever you sow, that you will also reap. If our actions and thoughts are based on greed, selfishness, or dishonesty, we will inevitably face the consequences of these acts. On the other hand, if we live in alignment with principles such as love, honesty, and service, we will attract goodness and peace into our lives. Evil cannot be eliminated through denial or resistance, but through understanding. Only when we understand its cause and work to correct our thoughts and actions can we free ourselves from its influence. 4. The light behind the darkness. Allen uses the metaphor of light and darkness to illustrate the relationship between good and evil. Just as darkness disappears when you light a lamp, evil dissolves when we allow the light of understanding, wisdom, and love to illuminate our minds. Suffering, far from being something we should avoid, is an opportunity to grow. As we bravely face it, we discover that there is no shadow so great that it cannot be dispelled by the light of knowledge and truth. 5. Practical steps to overcome evil. Allen proposes a clear path to transform evil into good. 1. Accept responsibility. Recognize that everything you experience is a reflection of your own thoughts and actions. Stop blaming others or circumstances. 2. Examine your interior. Identify the negative thoughts and habits that are creating suffering in your life. Ask yourself, What aspects of my character do I need to change? 3. Seek understanding. Instead of resisting pain, seek to understand what lesson it has for you. Remember that every challenge is an opportunity to grow. 4. Cultivate positive thoughts. Fill your mind with thoughts of love, compassion, gratitude, and forgiveness. These act as antidotes to hatred, envy, and fear. 5. Act in harmony with universal laws. Live by principles such as honesty, kindness, and justice. By aligning your actions with these laws, suffering will begin to disappear from your life. 6. Reflection. The purpose of Evil. The chapter concludes with a call to view evil from a whole new perspective. Instead of regarding it as an enemy, Alan encourages us to view it as a teacher. All suffering is temporary and exists to help us reach a higher state of understanding and peace. Evil cannot defeat anyone who is determined to learn and grow. The moment we understand this truth, we begin to shape our lives with power, purpose, and wisdom. Key quote from the chapter: evil, when rightly understood, is but a passing phase of human experience and can be transformed into good through understanding and practice. Chapter 2. The world is a reflection of mental states. James Allen delves into the idea that the world we experience is nothing more than a mirror of our inner state. What we perceive as external reality is shaped and colored by our thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes. In other words, we are creators of our own world through our mind. This chapter invites us to understand that the environment and circumstances around us are a direct reflection of our inner life. If we want to change our reality, we must first transform our mind. 1. The connection between thought and reality. Allen teaches us that everything we experience begins in thought. An impure soul, dominated by selfishness, fear, or anger, will inevitably attract difficulties and problems. On the contrary, a pure soul, full of love, gratitude, and generosity, will gravitate toward happiness, prosperity, and peace. Example: if a person constantly faces conflicts with others, it is likely that those problems originate in his or her own mental attitude, perhaps distrust, resentment, or lack of empathy. By changing those internal thoughts, external relationships will change. 2. Every thought builds your life. Allen states that each of our thoughts is a creative force. These thoughts not only shape our perspective, but they also attract people, events, and circumstances that reflect their nature. The human mind works like a magnet. What you think often manifests in your life. This principle is both a warning and an opportunity. Negative thoughts attract negative results, while positive thoughts create a harmonious environment. 3. The law of mental attraction. The author emphasizes that the universe operates under an immutable law. Each soul attracts what belongs to it. It is not possible to experience something that is not in resonance with our mental state. This means that if we face difficulties or failures, we must examine our inner thoughts and attitudes. On the contrary, if we want to attract abundance, love, or success, we must plant those thoughts in our minds. 4. Examples of internal reflection. Allen invites us to reflect on how our lives reflect our thoughts. The distrustful, they believe that the world is full of deception and betrayal, so they inevitably attract situations that confirm their belief. The generous, you find kindness and support everywhere because you project those qualities out into the world. Your thoughts are like a camera. What you capture is what is revealed in your life. Changing thoughts is equivalent to changing the focus and, therefore, the result. 5. External circumstances or internal control. Many believe that external circumstances control their lives, but Allen says this is a mistaken view. Although we can't control everything that happens, we can always control how we respond. Comparative history. 2 men face the same situation. They both lose all their savings in a financial collapse. The first sinks into discouragement and self-pity, blames circumstances, and remains stuck. The second, although shocked, decides to start over, trusting in his ability to rebuild his life. The result: one becomes a victim of circumstances, while the other transcends them. 6. The mind as a source of happiness or misery. Allen explains that happiness and suffering do not depend on what we have, but on how we think. A poor person, but with positive and grateful thoughts, can experience more joy than a rich person full of worries and fears. If we want to experience a full life, we must cultivate positive and constructive thoughts. We cannot expect to live in a world of harmony while maintaining a chaotic mind. 7. How to transform your inner world. James Allen offers a practical guide to begin transforming our reality by changing our thoughts. 1. Self-observation. Pay attention to your daily thoughts. Are they dominated by worry, fear, or negativity? Identify destructive patterns. 2. Conscious replacement. Whenever a negative thought arises, deliberately replace it with a positive one. For example, if you find yourself thinking, "I will never be successful," change it to, "I am learning and moving toward success." 3. Daily meditation. Spend time reflecting on elevated thoughts such as peace, gratitude, and love. This helps reprogram your mind and create a state of inner serenity. 4. Creative visualization. Imagine in detail the life you want, not just as a future goal, but as something you are already building in the present. 8. Final reflection of the chapter. Your world is a mirror that reflects what you carry within. If you see chaos, fear, or sadness in your environment, do not seek to change the external circumstances first. Change what is within you, and the world will change with you. James Allen closes this chapter with a powerful idea. The key to changing your life is in your thoughts. The world does not make you. You make the world. Chapter 3. The way out of unwanted conditions. James Allen offers us a transformative perspective in this chapter. We are not condemned to remain in adverse circumstances. Although the conditions we live in may seem impossible to change, he assures us that, by examining and adjusting our inner world, we can modify our outer environment. True power lies in our mind, and understanding this principle is the first step to getting out of unwanted conditions. 1. Conditions as a reflection of the mind. Allen begins by explaining that every condition we face in our lives is a direct result of our previous thoughts, desires, and actions. Everything we experience, both good and bad, is a reflection of our inner world. The author emphasizes that there is no circumstance that has appeared in our lives without a cause. Just as a plant cannot grow without a seed, our experiences cannot arise without us first planting the corresponding seeds in the form of thoughts and behaviors. 2. The universal law. As you sow, so shall you reap. The key principle of this chapter is the law of cause and effect. James Allen reminds us that this law governs not only the physical world, but also the mental and spiritual world. For example, if we have nurtured thoughts of envy, hatred, or distrust in the past, these eventually materialize in the form of conflict, illness, or failure. Conversely, if we cultivate thoughts of love, gratitude, and generosity, we will attract harmony and prosperity. 3. Unwanted conditions are necessary for growth. Although adverse conditions can be painful, Allen encourages us to look at them from another perspective. They are lessons designed to help us grow and evolve. Every challenge we face contains a message, and our task is to decipher it. For example, poverty. It can teach us the importance of gratitude and the value of effort. Health problems. They remind us of the need to take care of our body and mind. Conflictual relationships. They invite us to develop patience, empathy, and forgiveness. Allen argues that if we avoid these lessons, the conditions will persist. Only when we learn from them can we transcend them. 4. Responsibility is the key to transformation. One of the most challenging lessons in this chapter is that we are solely responsible for our circumstances. This does not mean blaming ourselves or feeling ashamed, but recognizing that we have the power to change our lives by taking control of our thoughts and actions. The author rejects the idea that we are victims of fate or external circumstances. According to him, any change we desire must begin from within. Wow. If we depend on external factors for our happiness, we will continue to be slaves to adverse conditions. 5. How to get out of unwanted conditions. James Allen offers a clear and practical approach to transforming our lives. This process involves both reflection and action. 1. Accept your current reality. The first step is to stop resisting circumstances and accept them as the result of our past thoughts and actions. This acceptance frees us from complaint and resentment. which only perpetuates suffering. 2. Examine your mind. Reflect on your thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes that have contributed to creating your current conditions. For example, do you allow yourself thoughts of fear, doubt, or scarcity? 3. Change your mental focus. Replace negative thoughts with positive ones. Cultivate emotions such as gratitude, trust, and love. For example, if you are facing financial problems, instead of thinking, "I will never have enough," change your perspective to, "I am learning to manage my resources and attract abundance." 4. Act accordingly. Positive thoughts must be supported by concrete actions. If you want prosperity, start practicing financial discipline and looking for opportunities. If you are looking to improve your relationships, act with empathy and honesty. 6. Self-pity. A silent enemy. Allen warns that one of the biggest obstacles to getting out of adverse conditions is self-pity. When we lament our fate, we place ourselves in a victim role and give up our personal power. Self-pity leads us to blame others or fate for our difficulties, perpetuating the cycle of suffering. On the contrary, taking responsibility gives us the control to transform our lives. 7. Practical example. From darkness to light. Allen uses the metaphor of a seed to illustrate the process of transformation. When we plant a seed, we cannot expect it to grow immediately. It requires time, care, and patience. In the same way, when we begin to change our mind, the external results may take time to manifest. Inspiring story. Imagine a woman facing years of troubled relationships. Instead of continuing to blame your partners, you decide to reflect on your own patterns of thinking and behavior. You discover that your unrealistic expectations and lack of communication have contributed to these problems. By working on yourself, you begin to attract healthier and more harmonious relationships. 8. Patience and faith in the process. Allen emphasizes that change does not happen overnight. It requires faith that the process will bear fruit and perseverance to continue working on yourself, even when the results are not immediate. Just as a sculptor patiently shapes a stone to reveal a masterpiece, we must mold our mind until it reflects our highest ideals. 9. Final reflection. Get out of the role of victim. James Allen closes this chapter with a call to action. If you are facing unwanted conditions, do not resign or give up. Recognize that you have the power to transform them by working within you. Every moment is an opportunity to sow new seeds of thought and action. If you do it with patience, discipline, and love, your life will change in ways that seem impossible today. The silent power of thought, controlling and directing one's own forces. James Allen explains that thoughts are the most powerful forces in the universe. Although invisible, they have the ability to shape our lives and transform the circumstances we face. Thought is not only a tool to reflect or imagine, but a generative energy that can be used to build or destroy, depending on how it is controlled. The most significant forces in nature, such as electricity or steam, are silent and invisible, but their impact is immense. In the same way, thought operates in silence, but its power to create or destroy is unlimited. When we learn to control our mental forces, we acquire the power to transform our lives. Thought has a duality. It can be constructive or destructive. Constructive thoughts, such as love, gratitude, and trust, generate harmony, success, and peace. In contrast, destructive thoughts, such as hate, fear, and envy, produce chaos, failure, and suffering. The key is to identify and eliminate negative thoughts while cultivating positive ones. The key to success and happiness lies in self-control. Those who cannot control their thoughts become slaves to their emotions, while those who master their minds become masters of their destiny. The mind is like a garden. If we allow weeds to grow, they will consume all the energy. But if we grow flowers, we will create a fruitful and beautiful space. To direct mental forces, it is necessary to calm and concentrate the mind. A calm mind is like a serene lake that reflects clearly. This state allows taking better decisions and focus energy on desired objectives. Practicing calm and concentration helps train the mind to be more disciplined and focused. Thoughts are the origin of our actions. Clear, powerful thinking leads to effective decisions, while scattered thoughts lead to confusion and failure. It is essential to reflect before acting and ask ourselves if a thought is constructive and aligned with our goals. Directing the power of thought towards objectives requires defining a clear purpose, visualizing the desired result, and acting with determination. Visualization creates a powerful mental image that guides our actions, while consistent action translates these thoughts into results. Fear and doubt are destructive mental forces that we must overcome. These emotions only have power if we feed them. Replacing them with confidence and positive thoughts is essential to moving forward. By repeating affirmative phrases like, "The highest good is omnipotent," we can reprogram our mind and strengthen our faith. Correct thinking has been key in the achievements of successful businessmen and successful athletes. These people use the power of thought to overcome obstacles, visualize solutions instead of problems, and maintain a resilient mindset. The mind is a divine gift that gives us the ability to choose our thoughts and shape our destiny. Using it wisely involves cultivating positive, focused, and constructive thoughts every day. Mastery of thought is the basis for inner peace and outer success. Chapter 5: The Secret of Health, Success, and Power. James Allen begins this chapter by emphasizing that health, success, and power are not mere accidents of fate or privileges reserved for a few. These are the direct result of the quality of our thoughts and the control we exert over our mind. According to Allen, the secret to achieving these desirable states lies in our ability to cultivate high thoughts, stay in harmony with universal laws, and act with integrity. The connection between mind and body is central to this chapter. Allen explains that every thought has an impact on our physical health. Negative emotions such as fear, anger, and anxiety create tension, weaken the immune system, and can lead to illness. On the other hand, positive thoughts, such as confidence, gratitude, and serenity, not only calm the mind, but also revitalize the body and promote an overall state of well-being. For James Allen, a calm mind aligned with positive thoughts is the key to lasting health. The author leads us to reflect on how our emotions directly affect our body. For example, a person who constantly worries may experience headaches, insomnia, or digestive problems. However, when this same person adopts an attitude of trust and gratitude, these problems can relieve or even disappear. The mind, according to Allen, is the primary source of health or illness. Furthermore, Allen establishes that true success and power does not come from external factors such as money or social position, but from an internal state of strength and faith. A clear and disciplined mind generates a power that cannot be matched by external circumstances. Successful people are not those who have more resources, but those who have learned to master their thoughts and act with purpose. When the mind is in harmony, the actions that arise from it are imbued with power and effectiveness. Positive thinking acts as a protective shield against adversity. Allen describes how a person who cultivates high thoughts develops an atmosphere around himself that repels negative influences. This does not mean that difficulties disappear completely, but rather that the person develops the inner strength to face them calmly and wisely. Just as the sun dissipates fog, positive thoughts have the power to transform the environment and neutralize the effects of unfavorable circumstances. The connection between morality and success is also a key point in this chapter. Allen argues that true success is only sustainable when it is based on sound moral principles. People who live dishonestly, although they may temporarily accumulate wealth or power, will eventually face the consequences of their actions. On the contrary, those who practice honesty, generosity, and kindness attract genuine relationships and lasting opportunities that lead to a prosperous and balanced life. For Allen, success is not simply the accumulation of material goods or external achievements. It is a state of internal balance where the mind, body, and actions are aligned with the principles of good. This balance not only brings peace and happiness, but is also reflected in the environment, attracting prosperity and harmony. The daily practice of high thoughts is essential to achieve health, success, and power. Allen suggests that dedicating ourselves daily to reflecting on gratitude, love, and trust in the highest good can transform our minds and our lives. This habit, not only helps us overcome destructive emotions, but also strengthens our ability to face challenges with optimism and determination. Visualizing peace, prosperity, and success as attainable realities is a powerful tool to align ourselves with the constructive forces of the universe. Alan also reminds us that constantly repeating positive thoughts has a cumulative effect. Every time we choose to replace a negative thought with a positive one, we are strengthening our mind and reprogramming the way we perceive the world. Over time, this practice becomes second nature, and our lives begin to reflect the quality of our thoughts. Health, success, and power are deeply connected. A calm mind promotes a healthy body, and both together create the ideal conditions for success. It is not possible to achieve these states if our mind is dominated by fear, anger, or the doubt. To achieve real transformation, we must commit to practicing mental discipline and living by the principles of love, honesty, and gratitude. In this chapter, James Allen concludes that the true source of power is within us. When we control our mind and cultivate positive thoughts, we not only transform our inner life, but also our external reality. The secret to health, success, and power is not in external circumstances, but in our ability to master our mind and live in harmony with universal laws. This is the path to a full and meaningful life. Chapter 6. The Secret of Abundant Happiness. James Allen begins this chapter by emphasizing that happiness is an internal state of mind, completely independent of external circumstances. Many people pursue happiness believing it is tied to achievements, wealth, or material possessions. However, Allen points out that this pursuit is misguided and ultimately leads to dissatisfaction. Lasting happiness cannot be found externally, since everything outside of us is transitory and subject to change. True happiness, on the other hand, arises from inner peace, gratitude, and harmony with universal laws. Allen describes how most people chase happiness in the wrong places. They seek fulfillment in social recognition, in accumulating wealth, or in achieving specific goals, only to discover that, once these goals are achieved, the happiness they experience is fleeting. Instead of enjoying the moment, your mind soon fixates on the next desire, creating an endless cycle of dissatisfaction. To break this cycle, the author invites us to look inward and understand that happiness is an inherent quality of the soul, which flourishes when we stop depending on external factors. Detachment is one of the central elements of the chapter. According to Allen, suffering arises from attachment to what is temporary and changeable, material possessions, relationships, and personal achievements. These things, although pleasurable, cannot provide lasting happiness because they are subject to loss and transformation. However, detachment does not mean renouncing the world, but rather learning to enjoy it without emotionally depending on it. When we cultivate detachment, we are able to fully participate in life while keeping our inner peace intact. Gratitude is another cornerstone of happiness. Allen emphasizes that happiness does not depend on how much we have, but on our ability to appreciate what we already have. Unhappy people tend to focus on what they lack, while grateful people find joy in the blessings, big and small, that are already present in their lives. Gratitude, according to Allen, not only creates an immediate feeling of happiness, but also connects us to the abundance of the universe, attracting more reasons to feel grateful. Selfless love is another key source of happiness. Allen explains that when we live solely for ourselves, our lives become limited and meaningless. However, when we extend love to others and act with kindness and generosity, we experience a deeper connection with life. Helping others, practicing empathy, and showing compassion not only benefits those around us, but it also enriches our own soul, filling us with a happiness that transcends circumstances. The author also addresses how negative thoughts act as barriers to happiness. Emotions like resentment, envy, and anger create a dark cloud that blocks our ability to experience joy. For Allen, purification of the mind is essential to achieve happiness. This involves identifying and eliminating destructive thoughts, replacing them with constructive and uplifting thoughts that are aligned with peace, gratitude, and love. Acceptance is another fundamental principle on the path to happiness. Life is full of challenges and adversities, and resisting them only prolongs suffering. Alan encourages us to accept difficulties as part of the process of personal growth. Acceptance does not mean resignation, but facing circumstances with serenity and confidence that each experience has a purpose. When we accept life as it is, we find an inner peace that cannot be disturbed by the ups and downs of the outside world. Balance is also essential for abundant happiness. Alan points out that happiness arises when we manage to harmonize the different aspects of our lives: work and rest, effort and relaxation, service to others and self-care. Imbalance, whether due to excess or defect, generates stress and frustration, while balance leads us to a state of plenitude. A balanced life allows our energy to flow naturally, creating an internal and external environment of peace and joy. Alan emphasizes that happiness is not a destination we reach, but a path we choose to travel every day. It is not something we obtain by achieving a specific goal, but a way of living. Every thought, emotion, and action we cultivate contributes to or diminishes our happiness. Therefore, if we want to experience abundant happiness, we must commit to living consciously and making decisions that are aligned with our values and principles. Finally, Alan concludes that happiness is a gift we give ourselves when we decide to live in harmony with universal laws. It does not depend on what we have or what happens around us, but on how we choose to think, feel, and act. When we cultivate thoughts of gratitude, love, and acceptance, we create a state of mind that not only allows us to experience happiness, but also radiate it to those around us. This is the true secret to abundant happiness. Chapter 7. The Realization of Prosperity. James Allen begins this chapter by emphasizing that prosperity is not the result of luck, chance, or the mere accumulation of material goods. Instead, it is the product of conscious effort, correct thinking, and consistent action in harmony with universal laws. True prosperity encompasses not only material wealth, but also inner peace, personal satisfaction, and the ability to contribute to the well-being of others. This chapter offers a map for those who want to build a prosperous life from the inside out. Alan emphasizes that prosperity begins in the mind. Our thoughts are the seeds we plant in the soil of our circumstances. If we hold thoughts of scarcity, fear, or doubt, these seeds will bear fruit in the form of limitations, difficulties, and shortcomings. On the contrary, thoughts of abundance, confidence, and purpose create the conditions necessary to attract opportunities, resources, and success. To achieve prosperity, we must take care of our mental garden, removing the weeds of negative thoughts and sowing the seeds of positive and constructive thoughts. The author highlights the importance of work as an essential component of prosperity. The mentality of expecting wealth without effort, or of seeking immediate results without committing to diligent work, is incompatible with real success. Alan emphasizes that lasting prosperity requires discipline, patience, and a strong work ethic. Every action we take, no matter how small, has a cumulative impact that brings us closer to our goals. Thriving people not only work hard, but they also work with a clear purpose and a positive attitude, aligning their daily efforts with their long-term goals. Honesty is another central principle in realizing prosperity. Alan is emphatic that no wealth obtained through dishonesty, deception, or manipulation can provide lasting satisfaction. Those who build their success on ethical and fair principles not only enjoy the trust and respect of others, but also experience an inner peace that no amount of dishonest wealth can buy. Prosperity based on integrity is like a tree with deep roots. It can withstand storms and grow constantly. Another pillar of prosperity that Alan addresses is generosity. According to the author, prosperity is not only about receiving, but also about giving. Those who share their resources, skills, and time with others not only contribute to collective well-being, but also create a constant flow of abundance in their own lives. Generosity should not be limited to material charity. It also includes acts of kindness, emotional support, and sharing knowledge. Alan points out that the more we give, the more we open the doors to receive, since generosity creates a positive cycle of abundance that benefits both the giver and the receiver. Perseverance and faith are essential qualities for those seeking to prosper. Alan explains that difficulties and failures are inevitable on the path to prosperity, but they should not be interpreted as insurmountable obstacles. Instead of becoming discouraged, we should see them as opportunities to learn, grow, and strengthen our resolve. Faith in our ability to overcome challenges, combined with constant perseverance, allows us to move forward even in the most difficult circumstances. Success, according to Alan, belongs to those who do not give up and who trust the process, knowing that every effort made with sincerity and purpose will eventually bear fruit. Gratitude is another fundamental quality for the realization of prosperity. Alan reminds us that a mind full of complaints and resentments is closed to opportunity and abundance. Instead, an attitude of gratitude generates a state of mind of abundance that attracts more reasons to feel grateful. Practicing gratitude not only transforms our perception of what we have, but also helps us appreciate present opportunities and create a solid mental foundation to receive more blessings in the future. Alan also highlights the importance of balance between giving and receiving. Prosperity cannot be sustained if one of these aspects dominates the other. Those who only seek to receive without giving, or those who continually give without allowing themselves to receive, interrupt the natural flow of abundance. The balance between both forces allows prosperity to flow freely and sustainably, creating a healthy cycle of exchange and mutual growth. The service mindset is another essential aspect of prosperity that Alan explores in this chapter. Those who seek to prosper solely for personal gain often find their success empty and meaningless. However, those who see their prosperity as a tool to serve others and contribute to collective well-being experience deeper and lasting satisfaction. Alan suggests that by acting with a purpose greater than ourselves, we not only attract more success, but we also create a positive impact on the world. Alan concludes the chapter by emphasizing that prosperity is not a static destination, but rather a dynamic and continuous process of growth, learning, and action. True prosperity is not limited to transforming our external circumstances, it also enriches our inner life. It is the result of living in alignment with the universal laws of love, integrity, gratitude, and service. When we embrace these principles and apply them consistently in our daily lives, we experience prosperity that not only benefits us, but also those around us. Realizing prosperity is ultimately a daily practice that begins with our thoughts and extends to our actions. By cultivating a positive mindset, working with purpose, acting with integrity, giving generously, and persevering in the face of challenges, we create the conditions to experience a truly prosperous life. This is the path to true prosperity, a prosperity that enriches both our inner and outer worlds. Chapter 8. Overcoming doubt and anxiety. In this chapter, James Allen addresses two of the biggest obstacles to personal growth and fulfillment: doubt and anxiety. Both, according to the author, are debilitating forces that paralyze our actions, obscure our vision, and distance us from our goals. However, Allen insists that these internal enemies can be conquered if we develop a disciplined mind, strong faith, and clear purpose. Allen begins by explaining that doubt is like a cloud that darkens our minds. When we allow doubt to dominate our thoughts, we become indecisive and unable to move forward with confidence. Doubt breeds inaction, and inaction perpetuates failure. To overcome this cycle, we must replace doubt with confidence and determination, cultivating unwavering faith in our ability to achieve our goals. Anxiety, on the other hand, is a state of constant worry about the future. According to Allen, anxiety robs us of the peace of the present moment and drains us of the energy we need to face life's challenges. Living in a state of anxiety is like trying to build on unstable ground. No matter how much effort we put in, progress will be limited as long as our mind is trapped in fear and worry. The author explains that the root of doubt and anxiety lies in a disordered mind. When our thoughts are scattered or dominated by fear, we lose clarity and control over our emotions. The key to overcoming these destructive forces is to cultivate a disciplined and focused mind. This requires daily practice, such as meditation, reflection, and strengthening our faith in the universal laws that govern life. Alan offers a powerful metaphor. The mind is like a ship, and doubt and anxiety are like storms trying to blow it off course. If the helmsman, our will, is not attentive and firm, the ship will be carried away by the waves. But if the helmsman remains focused on his destination and steers the ship with confidence, he can navigate even the roughest waters and reach his goal. Overcoming doubt begins with faith. Alan defines faith as a powerful force that connects us to the universe and gives us the courage to move forward even when the path is unclear. Faith is not a blind belief, but a deep trust that our right actions will produce positive results. Cultivating faith requires conscious practice, such as positive affirmations, visualizing our goals, and eliminating negative thoughts. Anxiety, for its part, is overcome by living fully in the present. Alan reminds us that the present moment is the only place where we have the power to act. Worrying about the future is not only futile, it also prevents us from taking full advantage of the opportunities of the present. By focusing on what we can do today, we reduce the power of anxiety and regain our inner peace. Alan points out that self-doubt and anxiety are often fueled by fear of failure. However, the author invites us to change our perception of failure. Instead of seeing it as an end, we should see it as a natural part of the learning and growth process. Every failure contains a valuable lesson that brings us closer to our goals, as long as we are willing to learn from it and move forward. The author also mentions that action is a powerful antidote to doubt and anxiety. When we take action, even in small steps, we dispel the clouds of doubt and feel more confident and capable. Action connects us to the present moment and allows us to move forward with confidence, while inaction reinforces states of fear and worry. Self-confidence is another essential component to overcoming self-doubt and anxiety. Alan explains that this confidence is not based on arrogance, but rather a recognition of our inherent potential as human beings. By remembering that we are capable of overcoming challenges and achieving our goals, we strengthen our ability to face uncertainty with courage. Finally, Alan concludes the chapter by emphasizing that overcoming doubt and anxiety is an ongoing process that requires conscious effort and daily practice. It is not about completely eliminating these emotions, but about learning to manage them constructively. When we cultivate a disciplined mind, strong faith, and clear purpose, we can navigate life with confidence and peace, regardless of the challenges we face. Overcoming self-doubt and anxiety is an essential step on the path to a full and meaningful life. By mastering our emotions and thoughts, we regain control of our actions and create the conditions necessary to achieve success and happiness. This chapter reminds us that the power to transform our lives is always within us, waiting to be activated by our will and determination. Chapter 9. Thoughts as Builders of Life. James Allen dedicates this chapter to exploring how thoughts are the invisible architects that build the structure of our lives. According to the author, every thought we allow to inhabit our minds contributes to shaping our circumstances, our relationships, and our destiny. Just like a builder uses tools and materials to erect a building, thoughts are the tools with which we create our reality. Therefore, understanding and directing our thoughts is essential to building a full and meaningful life. Alan explains that the human mind has extraordinary creative power. Every thought, whether positive or negative, has a direct influence on our actions and the experiences we attract. The persistent and dominant thoughts in our minds act like magnets that attract people, opportunities, and situations that reflect their nature. For example, a mind filled with confidence and determination will attract success and progress, while a mind dominated by doubt and fear will attract obstacles and limitations. The author uses a powerful metaphor to describe the impact of thoughts on our lives. The mind is fertile soil, and thoughts are the seeds. If we sow seeds of love, gratitude, and ambition, we will reap fruits of prosperity and happiness. But if we allow seeds of hatred, envy, and hopelessness to grow, our harvest will be full of suffering and hardship. Therefore, the quality of our life is directly related to the quality of our thoughts. Alan emphasizes that thoughts not only affect our external life, but also our internal life. Positive thoughts generate emotions such as joy, serenity, and confidence, which strengthen us and propel us forward. On the contrary, negative thoughts generate emotions such as anxiety, resentment, and discouragement, which weaken and hold us back. Learning to control and direct our thoughts is, therefore, an essential skill to achieve happiness and success. The author explains that the process of building life begins with self-observation. We must pay attention to the thoughts that dominate our minds and evaluate whether they are aligned with the goals and values we want to achieve. This practice of self-observation allows us to identify and eliminate destructive thought patterns, replacing them with thoughts that empower and inspire us. Once we have identified negative thoughts, Alan encourages us to actively replace them with positive, constructive thoughts. This requires practice and discipline, as the mind tends to cling to old thought patterns. However, with time and consistency, we can reprogram our minds to work for us instead of against us. Visualization, positive affirmations, and meditation are useful tools for this mental transformation process. The author highlights that action is an essential component in the process of building life. Thoughts, although powerful, must be accompanied by coherent actions to fully manifest in our reality. For example, a thought of success must be followed by concrete efforts towards our goals. The combination of thought and action creates a positive cycle in which our actions reinforce our thoughts, and our thoughts inspire our actions. Another important principle that Alan mentions is perseverance. Building a fulfilling life is not a quick or easy process. It takes time, patience, and the willingness to keep going even when we face challenges and setbacks. The mind, like a muscle, becomes stronger with constant use, and the more we practice controlling our thoughts, the more effective we will be in directing our lives towards success and happiness. Alan also addresses the importance of surrounding ourselves with positive influences. The people, environments, and experiences we choose have a significant impact on our thoughts. If we want to cultivate a positive mindset, we must seek out environments and relationships that support our growth and inspire us to be better. Instead, we must distance ourselves from negative influences that fuel destructive thoughts and divert us from our purpose. The chapter concludes with an encouraging message. We all have the power to transform our lives, regardless of our current circumstances, if we learn to control and direct our thoughts. By taking responsibility for our mind and consciously using its creative power, we can build a life that reflects our highest values, dreams, and aspirations. James Allen reminds us that the power of thoughts is not an abstract concept, but a tangible reality that we can observe in our own lives. Every day, every moment, we have the opportunity to choose what thoughts we allow to inhabit our minds, and, in doing so, we shape the future we wish to build. Life is not something that happens to us, but something we create, one thought at a time. Chapter 10. Discipline and Self-Control. In this chapter, James Allen addresses the fundamental importance of discipline and self-control as pillars to achieve success, inner peace, and personal fulfillment. According to the author, discipline and self-control are not only desirable virtues, but essential tools to master the mind, overcome challenges, and live in harmony with the universal laws. Without them, we become slaves to our emotions, desires, and external circumstances. Allen begins by explaining that discipline is the bridge between thought and action. It is the ability to transform our ideals into daily habits and to stay focused on our goals despite temptations and distractions. Without discipline, even the highest thoughts and best-laid plans lack the strength to manifest into reality. Self-control, on the other hand, is the ability to govern our emotions and desires, rather than being governed by them. Allen describes self-control as the art of maintaining internal balance in the face of external provocations. A person without self-control is like a ship without a rudder, vulnerable to the waves of life and easily swept away by the currents of temptation, anger, or fear. The author emphasizes that discipline and self-control are essential to developing a strong and resilient mind. Without them, the mind becomes scattered and vulnerable to negative thoughts, which lead us away from our goals and plunges us into confusion. However, when we practice discipline and self-control, we strengthen our will, clarify our vision, and position ourselves to face any challenge with confidence and serenity. Alan notes that many people avoid discipline because they associate it with restrictions or deprivation. However, the author argues that true freedom is only achieved through self-discipline. A disciplined mind is free to focus on what really matters, while an undisciplined mind is enslaved by uncontrolled desires and emotions. The author explains that self-control does not mean repressing our emotions, but rather learning to channel them constructively. For example, anger can be transformed into determination, and fear can be turned into prudence. Alan insists that self-control is not a skill acquired overnight, but a process that requires daily practice, patience, and persistence. To develop discipline and self-control, Alan recommends starting with small steps. For example, we can set simple goals, such as getting up at a specific time, keeping a regular schedule, or practicing gratitude daily. Each time we follow through on these commitments, we strengthen our will and build a solid foundation for taking on greater challenges. Alan also suggests the importance of meditation and reflection as tools for cultivating self-control. Taking a few minutes a day to observe our thoughts and emotions without judging them helps us understand ourselves better and respond more consciously rather than react impulsively. Meditation allows us to create a space of inner calm where we can make decisions from wisdom rather than emotion. The author addresses the role of discipline in overcoming negative habits. Alan explains that destructive habits are not eliminated by simply suppressing them, but by replacing them with positive habits. This process requires a combination of self-control to resist old tendencies and discipline to practice new ones. Over time, positive habits become automatic, freeing us from the weight of negative patterns. Alan also connects discipline and self-control to building character. According to the author, our character is the cumulative result of our thoughts, decisions, and actions. When we cultivate self-control, we shape not only our actions, but also the essence of who we are. A strong and disciplined character is the foundation for a successful and meaningful life. The chapter concludes with a powerful reminder: discipline and self-control are not restrictions, but tools of liberation. Through them, we achieve the freedom to choose our destiny instead of being dragged by circumstances. True greatness, Alan says, is not measured by what we achieve externally, but by our internal mastery. James Allen makes it clear that discipline and self-control are the foundations of a full and meaningful life. With them, we can transform our minds, overcome any challenge, and create a reality that reflects our highest ideals. Without them, we remain trapped in a cycle of impulsive reactions and unsatisfactory results. The choice, as always, is in our hands. Chapter 11. Transformation through virtue. In this chapter, James Allen highlights that virtue is the basis of all authentic and lasting transformation. According to the author, virtues such as honesty, kindness, purity, and generosity are not simply moral values, but powerful forces that shape our minds, our actions, and our circumstances. Practicing virtue not only elevates our character, but also transforms our lives in profound and tangible ways. Allen begins by explaining that virtue acts as an internal guide that keeps us aligned with universal laws. These laws, like cause and effect, are always operating in our lives, and living virtuously means acting in harmony with them. When our actions, thoughts, and words are in tune with the principles of good, we create a state of balance and harmony that is reflected in our external circumstances. Transformation through virtue begins with introspection. Allen invites us to reflect on our actions and thoughts, identifying those that are not aligned with the principles of good. This process of self-examination is not to judge ourselves harshly, but to recognize our areas of improvement and commit to changing them. Virtue is not achieved overnight, but through continuous and conscious effort. The author emphasizes that the virtues are not abstract or inaccessible, they are habits that we can cultivate in our daily lives. For example, honesty begins with telling the truth even in the little things. Generosity can be practiced by sharing only material goods, but also time, attention, and emotional support. Every virtuous action, no matter how small, contributes to shaping our character and transforming our lives. Alan addresses the relationship between virtue and negative emotions. He explains that emotions such as hate, envy, and resentment are like toxins that contaminate our minds and our relationships. The practice of virtue acts as an antidote, purifying our mind and freeing us from these destructive emotions. For example, love and forgiveness can neutralize hatred, while gratitude can dispel envy. Virtue also has a direct impact on our relationships. Alan notes that people who practice kindness, empathy, and respect attract harmonious and constructive relationships. On the contrary, those who act from selfishness, dishonesty, or constant criticism tend to experience conflicts and breakups. Practicing virtue in our interactions not only improves our relationships, but also contributes to collective well-being. The author highlights that transformation through virtue is not only about improving our external life, but also about achieving a state of inner peace. When we live according to the principles of good, we eliminate dissonance between our thoughts, words, and actions. This internal alignment provides us with a tranquility that cannot be disturbed by external circumstances. Alan mentions that virtue also gives us strength to face life's challenges. A virtuous mind is firmly anchored in universal principles and is not easily shaken by difficulties or adversities. For example, a person who practices patience and resilience can overcome obstacles calmly and confidently, while someone without these virtues may feel overwhelmed or defeated. The practice of virtue is also deeply connected to prosperity. Alan explains that virtuous people tend to attract opportunities, resources, and relationships that allow them to thrive. This is not a matter of magic, but a manifestation of the law of cause and effect. When we act with integrity, generosity, and diligence, we create the conditions for success and abundance. The chapter concludes with a reflection on the highest purpose of virtue. Alan reminds us that practicing virtue is not just a matter of improving our personal lives, but also of contributing to the well-being of others and the balance of the world. Each virtuous act has an impact that goes beyond ourselves, creating a ripple of goodness and transformation. James Allen closes this chapter with a powerful message. Virtue is not just a goal, but a path. It is through the daily practice of virtue that we transform our character, our relationships, and our circumstances. Virtue allows us to live in harmony with universal laws, experience inner peace, and contribute to collective well-being. It is the means through which we achieve our greatest fulfillment and leave a legacy of love and kindness in the world. Chapter 12. The Impact of Selfless Service. In this chapter, James Allen delves into the importance of selfless service as a transformative principle that not only benefits others, but also enriches the practitioner. According to the author, selfless service is one of the highest expressions of virtue and an inexhaustible source of satisfaction, peace, and personal growth. Through acts of kindness and genuine support, we create a deep connection with others and with the universal laws that govern life. Allen begins by pointing out that selfishness is one of the main causes of suffering in the world. When we live only to satisfy our own needs and desires, our life becomes limited, empty, and meaningless. On the contrary, selfless service lifts us above selfish concerns and allows us to participate in something larger than ourselves. This shift in perspective transforms not only our external circumstances, but also our mind and spirit. The author explains that selfless service is not limited to grand gestures or heroic sacrifices. It can manifest itself in small daily actions, such as listening carefully to someone, offering words of encouragement, or helping a stranger. Every act of kindness, no matter how small, has a significant impact on both the person who receives it and the person who offers it. Allen points out that true service does not expect recognition or reward, but is done from a place of genuine love and compassion. One of the key teachings of this chapter is that selfless service is a source of happiness and personal satisfaction. Allen describes how acts of kindness create a sense of fulfillment that cannot be obtained through material or selfish achievements. Helping others connects us to our highest nature and reminds us that we are part of an interconnected community. This sense of connection and purpose is essential to a full and meaningful life. The author also highlights that selfless service has a transformative power in our relationships. When we practice generosity, empathy, and respect, we build strong and harmonious bonds with others. These relationships based on mutual service and genuine support not only enrich our lives, but also contribute to collective well-being. Allen emphasizes that selfless service creates a positive cycle in which giving and receiving naturally balance each other. Selfless service is also a powerful tool for overcoming selfishness and isolation. Allen explains that the act of service frees us from our personal concerns and allows us to focus on the needs of others. This shift in focus not only alleviates our own suffering, but also helps us develop qualities such as patience, humility, and resilience. As we practice service, we become stronger and more able to face life's challenges. Allen addresses the relationship between selfless service and prosperity. Contrary to the belief that giving to others can diminish our own resources, the author points out that selfless service actually creates abundance. By acting with generosity and love, we create a constant flow of positive energy that attracts opportunities, support, and resources into our lives. This principle is based on the universal law of cause and effect. The more we give, the more we receive. The author also reflects on the spiritual impact of selfless service. Practicing kindness and genuine support brings us closer to the essence of our divine nature and allows us to experience a state of peace and fulfillment that transcends external circumstances. Selfless service teaches us to live in alignment with the universal principles of love, compassion, and gratitude, creating a life of meaning and purpose. James Allen concludes this chapter with an invitation to embrace selfless service as a daily practice. He reminds us that each of us has the power to make a difference, regardless of our situation or resources. By serving others, we not only transform their lives, but we also transform our own. Selfless service is ultimately an act of love that enriches both the giver and the receiver. The practice of selfless service, according to Allen, is one of the surest paths to personal fulfillment and lasting success. By focusing on the well-being of others, we cultivate a life filled with purpose, peace, and joy. This chapter leaves us with the lesson that true greatness is not measured by what we accomplish for ourselves, but by the positive impact we have on the lives of those around us. Chapter 13. The relationship between mind and body. James Allen dedicates this chapter to exploring the deep connection between mind and body, highlighting how our thoughts and emotions directly influence our physical health and overall well-being. According to the author, mental state not only affects our perception of life, but also has a tangible impact on the vitality, resilience, and harmony of our body. Allen argues that by cultivating a serene and positive mind, we can transform our health and create a more balanced life. The author begins by pointing out that mind and body are not separate entities, but are intrinsically interconnected. The thoughts and emotions that inhabit our mind generate physical responses in our body. For example, thoughts of fear or anxiety activate a stress response, which can lead to muscle tension, insomnia, and chronic illness. On the other hand, thoughts of love, gratitude, and peace relax the body and promote optimal health. Allen explains that many physical illnesses have their origin in negative thought patterns and unresolved emotions. When we allow hatred, resentment, fear, or worry to dominate our minds, these emotions act as toxins that weaken our immune system and predispose the body to illness. By eliminating these thoughts and replacing them with positive attitudes, we can restore health and prevent future problems. The author stresses the importance of mental calm in maintaining physical health. Serenity acts as a balm for the body, helping it recover from daily wear and tear and strengthening its ability to withstand external stresses. Allen suggests that practicing meditation, conscious breathing, and introspection can be a powerful tool to cultivate this calm and, therefore, improve our health. The influence of gratitude and optimism on health is also a central theme in this chapter. Allen describes how people who cultivate a grateful and optimistic attitude tend to enjoy better health and greater longevity. Gratitude and optimism not only promote positive emotions, but also strengthen the body's resilience to illness and challenges. These attitudes create a virtuous circle in which the mind and body work together to maintain a state of well-being. James Allen also reflects on the impact of mental habits on longevity. He states that a mind burdened with negative emotions tends to wear down the body more quickly, while a mind at peace and aligned with constructive thoughts promotes vitality and energy throughout life. For this reason, learning to control and direct our thoughts is essential not only for our success and happiness, but also for our physical health. Another important aspect that Allen addresses is the relationship between the mind and the body's ability to heal. He explains that people with a positive attitude and an unwavering faith in their ability to recover tend to experience faster and more complete healing than those who fall into hopelessness or pessimism. Faith, according to Allen, acts as a catalyst that mobilizes the body's healing forces and speeds up the recovery process. The author warns against indulging in destructive mental habits, such as self-pity, excessive worry, and constant criticism. These attitudes not only affect our mental health, but also have a cumulative impact on our physical health. On the contrary, cultivating thoughts of compassion, self-love, and acceptance can have a rejuvenating effect on both mind and body. Allen concludes the chapter by emphasizing that our health is, to a large extent, a reflection of our mental life. Although we cannot control all of the external factors that affect our health, we can choose how we react to them through our attitude and outlook. By taking control of our mind and cultivating positive and constructive thoughts, we create an internal environment that supports health and well-being. The relationship between mind and body, according to Allen, is further proof of the transformative power of thought. This chapter leaves us with a lesson that by caring for our mind as carefully as we care for our body, we can achieve a state of balance and harmony that is reflected in all aspects of our lives. The mind and body, working together, are the most powerful tools we have to create a full and healthy life. Chapter 14. Reaping what we sow. In this chapter, James Allen develops the concept that each of us is responsible for the circumstances we face in our lives. Based on the universal law of cause and effect, Allen argues that everything we experience is the direct result of the seeds we have sown in the past, whether thoughts, words, or actions. This idea, far from being a burden, is presented as a powerful opportunity. By changing the seeds we sow today, we can transform the harvest we receive tomorrow. The author compares the human mind to fertile soil. Just as a farmer chooses what seeds to plant and tends his field to obtain a good harvest, we choose the thoughts and attitudes that we sow in our minds. If we plant seeds of love, gratitude, and diligent effort, our harvest will be peace, success, and happiness. On the other hand, if we sow seeds of hatred, envy, and laziness, we will inevitably reap suffering and failure. Allen emphasizes that the process of sowing and harvesting is inescapable. We cannot expect positive results if our actions and thoughts are in contradiction with our goals. The law of cause and effect makes no exceptions. What we give to the world gives back to us. This understanding encourages us to take full responsibility for our lives and make conscious decisions about what we sow each day. The author also addresses the role of time in this process. Just as a farmer cannot expect an immediate harvest after sowing, we should not expect instant results from our actions either. Allen notes that patience and perseverance are essential. The seeds we sow today need time to germinate, grow, and bear fruit. However, if we consistently care for our mental field with constructive thoughts and actions, the harvest will be inevitable and worth it. A key aspect of this chapter is the importance of the intention behind our actions. Allen explains that it is not enough to perform superficial good deeds. The intention must be genuine and aligned with universal principles such as love, justice, and generosity. An action done with a selfish or dishonest purpose does not produce the same results as an action done with sincerity and purity of heart. Allen also emphasizes that the difficulties and challenges we face are not punishments, but rather opportunities to learn and grow. If we face adverse circumstances, instead of blaming fate or others, We should reflect on the seeds we have sown in the past and use that understanding to make adjustments in the present. Each challenge is a lesson that helps us be more aware of our actions and gives us the opportunity to sow better for the future. The author encourages us not to be discouraged by past mistakes. Although we cannot change the seeds we have already sown, we can begin today to plant new seeds that will lead to a more abundant and satisfying harvest. Change begins the moment we become aware of our power to influence our destiny and decide to use that power responsibly. Generosity and selfless service are also emphasized as powerful seeds for a harvest of happiness and prosperity. Alan explains that by giving to others sincerely and without expecting anything in return, we create a flow of positive energy that inevitably returns to us in the form of blessings. Life, according to the author, is a circle in which what we give returns to us multiplied. The chapter concludes with a call to action. Every thought, word, and action we take today is sowing the seeds of our future. The quality of our harvest will depend on the quality of our seeds. Therefore, we must live with intention, choosing our thoughts carefully and acting with integrity at all times. James Allen leaves us with a powerful lesson. We are the creators of our destiny. Although we cannot control all external factors, we have the power to decide how we respond to them and what seeds we plant in our minds and in the world. By assuming this responsibility, we can build a life rich in meaning, success, and happiness, and reap an abundance that transcends our expectations. This chapter reminds us that each day is a new opportunity to sow the best of ourselves and prepare the ground for a bright future. Chapter 15. The role of sacrifice in self-realization. James Allen explores in this chapter the notion of sacrifice as an essential element to achieve self-realization, inner peace, and true success. Far from considering sacrifice as a loss or a deprivation, Allen defines it as a conscious choice to let go of what does not serve us to achieve a higher purpose. Sacrifice, according to the author, is the bridge that connects our current state with our highest potential. The chapter begins with the idea that every significant achievement requires sacrifice. Allen explains that it is not possible to achieve success, wisdom, or inner peace without being willing to give up certain comforts, habits, or attachments that limit us. This sacrifice is not an act of suffering, but rather a conscious investment in our growth and transformation. Allen emphasizes that the greatest sacrifice we can make is to let go of the negative thoughts and emotions that hold us back. Giving up hate, envy, fear, and doubt is essential to cultivating a clear and peaceful mind. These inner sacrifices are the most difficult, but also the most transformative. When we free our minds of these burdens, we create space for creativity, trust, and love. The author also addresses the concept of sacrifice in terms of time and effort. He explains that achieving any meaningful goal, whether in business, relationships, or personal development, requires dedication and consistent work. This often involves giving up immediate gratification in favor of long-term results. For example, choosing to study instead of enjoying an immediate recreational activity, or investing time in developing skills instead of seeking passing distractions. Allen uses the metaphor of the farmer to illustrate the importance of sacrifice. A farmer must sacrifice his time and energy to prepare the soil, plant seeds, and tend his crop before enjoying the harvest. Similarly, in our lives, we must be willing to put in the time and effort to achieve our goals and aspirations. Sacrifice is also related to service to others. Allen explains that people who are willing to give selflessly, whether it be time, energy, or resources, experience deep personal and spiritual growth. By putting the needs of others above our own, we develop virtues such as empathy, humility, and generosity, which are essential to self-actualization. Otro punto central del capítulo es que el sacrificio nos libera del apego. Allen argumenta que muchas de nuestras luchas internas provienen de nuestro apego a cosas, personas o situaciones que ya no nos sirven. Aprender a dejar ir lo que no es esencial nos permite avanzar hacia un propósito más grande y vivir con mayor libertad y paz. El sacrificio, en este sentido, no es una pérdida, sino una liberación. Alan también aborda el mito al sacrificio, que a menudo impide a las personas avanzar en su camino. Muchas veces, tememos renunciar a lo conocido, incluso si sabemos que nos está limitando. Sin embargo, el autor nos anima a ver el sacrificio como una oportunidad para crecer y alcanzar un estado de vida más pleno. Al superar el mito al cambio, nos abrimos a nuevas posibilidades y experiencias. El capítulo concluye con un llamado a adoptar el sacrificio como una práctica diaria. Alan nos recuerda que el sacrificio no siempre implica grandes gestos, sino pequeñas decisiones que tomemos cada día para alinearnos con nuestros valores y metas más elevados. Estas decisiones acumulativas crean el carácter, la fortaleza y la claridad que necesitamos para alcanzar la autorrealización. James Allen nos deja con una reflexión poderosa. El sacrificio es el precio que pagamos por la libertad, la paz y el éxito. Al soltar lo que ya no nos sirve y dedicar nuestra energía a lo que realmente importa, nos transformemos en la mejor versión de nosotros mismos. Este capítulo nos invita a ver el sacrificio no como una carga, sino como un acto de amor hacia nosotros mismos y hacia nuestro propósito en la vida. Capítulo 16. Ley universal. Causa y efecto. En este capítulo, James Allen profundiza en la ley universal de causa y efecto, un principio fundamental que rige no solo el mundo físico, sino también el mental, emotional y espiritual. Según Allen, todo lo que experimentemos en la vida es el resultado directo de nuestras acciones, pensamientos y decisiones. Comprender y aplicar esta ley nos permite tomar el control de nuestra vida y moldear nuestro destino de manera consciente. El capítulo comienza con una explicación clara de cómo funciona esta ley. Cada pensamiento que albergamos y cada acción que realizamos es una semilla que plantemos en el terreno de nuestra vida. Estas semillas, tarde o temprano, producen una cosecha que se manifiesta en nuestras circunstancias externas y en nuestro bienestar interno. Si sembramos semillas positivas como la bondad, la paciencia y la diligencia, cosecharemos éxito, armonía y felicidad. Por el contrario, las semillas negativas como el odio, la envidia y la pereza inevitablemente generan sufrimiento y fracaso. Allen enfatiza que la ley de causa y efecto es imparcial y inmutable. No importa quién somos o en qué circunstancias nos encontremos, esta ley actúa con absoluta justicia y precisión. Esto significa que no podemos culpar al destino, a las circunstancias externas o a otras personas por nuestras dificultades. En cambio, debemos asumir la plena responsabilidad de nuestras vidas y reconocer que nuestras experiencias actuales son el resultado de nuestras acciones y pensamientos pasados. Un punto clave que aborda Allen es la importancia del pensamiento como causa primaria. Explica que los pensamientos no son simples ideas pasajeras, sino fuerzas poderosas que they shape our reality. Persistent thoughts act like magnets, attracting people, situations, and opportunities that are in tune with them. For example, a person who constantly thinks about success and acts accordingly will attract opportunities to thrive, while a person who focuses on fear and lack will perpetuate those same circumstances in their life. Allen also highlights that change begins the moment we become aware of this law and decide to consciously apply it. By changing our current thoughts and actions, we can change future outcomes. This does not mean that the results are immediate. The law of cause and effect takes time to manifest, just as seeds need time to germinate and grow. However, with patience and perseverance, we can transform any aspect of our lives. The author addresses the role of intention behind our actions. It is not enough to perform good actions. The intention with which we act is also crucial. If our actions are motivated by selfishness or the desire to manipulate, the results will not be as positive as if we act from a place of love, sincerity, and generosity. The purity of our intention determines the quality of our harvest. Alan also explores how this law operates in our relationships. The interactions we have with others are reflections of our own attitudes and behaviors. If we treat others with respect, kindness, and empathy, we are more likely to receive the same in return. On the other hand, if we act dishonestly or disrespectfully, we will eventually face the consequences of those actions. Another important aspect that Alan mentions is the need to accept the consequences of our past actions without resentment or self-pity. Recognizing our mistakes and learning from them is an essential step to grow and move forward. The law of cause and effect is not designed to punish us, but to teach and guide us toward a path of greater wisdom and balance. The chapter concludes with a call to conscious action. James Allen encourages us to live with intention, carefully choosing our thoughts, words, and actions so that they are aligned with our values and goals. By doing so, we become the conscious creators of our lives and stop being victims of circumstances. This chapter leaves us with a powerful teaching. Everything we give to the world gives back to us. The law of cause and effect reminds us that every moment is an opportunity to sow new seeds and build a brighter future. By understanding and applying this universal law, we can transform our lives into a masterpiece of harmony, success, and fulfillment. Chapter 17. The importance of concentration. In this chapter, James Allen explores the skill of concentration as one of the most powerful tools for achieving success, mental clarity, and self-actualization. According to Allen, concentration is the ability to focus our mind on a single goal or thought, to the exclusion of everything else. This ability not only allows us to achieve our goals more effectively, but also helps us develop a more balanced and meaningful life. Allen begins by explaining that the human mind is like a lens that can focus or spread out. When our minds are scattered, our thoughts jump from one topic to another, weakening our ability to make clear decisions and act with purpose. On the contrary, a focused mind acts like a laser beam, channeling all its energy into a single point and producing much more effective results. The author points out that lack of concentration is one of the main reasons why many people do not achieve their goals. Instead of focusing their attention on what really matters, they allow outside distractions and random thoughts to dominate their mind. This dispersion not only wastes energy, but also creates a feeling of dissatisfaction and purposelessness. Concentration, according to Allen, is a skill that can be developed with practice and effort. One of the first steps to cultivating concentration is to eliminate unnecessary distractions from our lives. This includes both external distractions, such as noise and interruptions, and internal distractions, such as negative thoughts or unnecessary worries. By reducing these distractions, we create a mental space where concentration can flourish. The author also emphasizes the importance of having a clear goal. Concentration is easier to maintain when we know exactly what we want to achieve. Allen suggests that we set specific, realistic goals and focus on them with determination. Having a clear purpose helps us direct our energy and attention effectively, avoiding dispersion. Allen introduces the idea of meditation as a powerful tool to improve concentration. Meditation, according to the author, is a practice that teaches us to calm the mind and direct our attention to a single point, whether it is a thought, a word, or an image. By practicing meditation regularly, we can train our minds to be more disciplined and less prone to distractions. The author also talks about the relationship between concentration and self-discipline. He explains that concentration requires a conscious effort to resist temptations and distractions. This involves developing the ability to say no to what does not serve us and to keep our attention on what is really important. Self-discipline and focus go hand in hand, and strengthening one also strengthens the other. Allen mentions that concentration is not only useful for achieving external goals, but also for inner growth. A focused mind is able to delve deeper into introspection, explore its own thoughts and emotions, and discover deeper truths about life and the universe. This level of focus connects us to our highest nature and helps us live with greater purpose and clarity. The author warns that concentration should not be confused with obsession. While concentration is a healthy practice that helps us move toward our goals, Obsession is a state in which our mind becomes rigidly fixed on a single thing, thought or problem, excluding everything else. Alan suggests we practice balanced concentration, making sure to maintain a broad perspective and not neglect other important aspects of our lives. The chapter concludes with a reflection on the transformative power of concentration. James Allen reminds us that a focused mind is a powerful mind. When we learn to focus, we gain control over our lives and position ourselves to achieve our goals more successfully. Concentration not only helps us achieve things in the outside world, but it also allows us to experience greater inner peace and a deeper sense of fulfillment. Ultimately, this chapter teaches us that concentration is a skill that we can all cultivate and that, by doing so, we transform not only our productivity, but also our quality of life. A concentrated mind is a mind that is free, creative, and capable of facing any challenge with confidence and serenity. Alan leaves us knowing that by mastering concentration, we can unlock our highest potential and live a life of purpose and meaning. Chapter 18. Rectify the Heart to Transform Life. James Allen introduces this chapter with the idea that true personal transformation begins from within. It explains that, to change our external circumstances and achieve a fulfilled life, we must first rectify the heart, that is, adjust our thoughts, emotions, and desires to the universal principles of good, truth, and love. According to Allen, the heart is the core of our inner life, and its purity or impurity is inevitably reflected in our actions and the conditions we face. Allen points out that many people try to change their lives by focusing solely on external circumstances, such as improving their financial situation, their relationships, or their environment. However, these efforts are often temporary and do not produce lasting results because they do not address the underlying causes that reside in the heart. To truly transform our lives, we must go beyond the superficial and work on the inner foundations of our thoughts and emotions. The author describes the heart as the garden of life. If the heart is full of negative thoughts such as anger, envy, or selfishness, the seeds we plant will give rise to bitter fruits. On the contrary, if we cultivate virtues such as love, gratitude, and generosity, we will create fertile soil for a life of success, peace, and harmony. Allen emphasizes that all external change is the result of internal change, and that rectifying the heart is the first step toward any meaningful transformation. To rectify the heart, Allen invites us to practice introspection. This process consists of observing our thoughts and emotions honestly, without judging ourselves, but with the intention of identifying destructive patterns that we need to change. Introspection helps us understand the roots of our actions and make more conscious decisions aligned with our values. The author also addresses the importance of forgiveness as an act of purification of the heart. Holding on to resentment and anger not only damages our relationships, but it contaminates our mental and emotional state. By forgiving others and ourselves, we free the heart from unnecessary burdens and create space for peace and love. Forgiveness, according to Allen, is an act of courage and a powerful tool for inner transformation. Another key aspect that Allen mentions is the power of unconditional love to rectify the heart. He explains that love is the highest and most transformative force we can cultivate. When we act from a place of love, our actions are aligned with universal laws, and this alignment inevitably leads us to inner peace and outer success. Love not only transforms our relationships with others, but also our relationship with ourselves and the world at large. Discipline also plays a crucial role in this process. Allen suggests that rectifying the heart requires conscious and constant effort. This includes monitoring our thoughts, controlling our emotions, and acting with integrity in every moment. Discipline should not be perceived as a restriction, but as a tool to free the heart from negative habits and patterns that limit us. Allen reflects on how rectifying the heart allows us to face life's challenges with a more positive and resilient attitude. When the heart is at peace, we are able to handle difficulties calmly and clearly, without succumbing to stress or discouragement. Furthermore, a right heart attracts more favorable circumstances, since our actions and thoughts are aligned with good. The author concludes this chapter by reminding us that the heart is the center of our existence and that its condition determines the quality of our life. By working within ourselves and rectifying the heart, we not only transform our external circumstances, but we also reach a deeper level of fulfillment and meaning. James Allen leaves us with a fundamental teaching. Changing our lives begins by changing our hearts. This process requires courage, honesty, and continuous effort, but the fruits of this transformation are invaluable. By rectifying the heart, we align ourselves with universal laws and unlock our highest potential, creating a life that reflects the best of ourselves. Chapter 19. Overcoming selfishness to achieve peace. In this chapter, James Allen discusses how selfishness is one of the main barriers to achieving inner peace, lasting happiness, and harmonious relationships. According to the author, selfishness is a destructive force that separates us from others, feeds our dissatisfactions, and prevents us from experiencing the fullness of a life based on love, compassion, and generosity. For Allen, overcoming selfishness is not only essential for our personal growth, but also to contribute to collective well-being. Allen begins by defining selfishness as a focus solely on our own needs, desires, and interests, often to the detriment of others. This approach creates a disconnection from the world as it leads us to see others as competitors or threats rather than allies. Furthermore, selfishness generates dissatisfaction. Since it is never possible to completely satisfy our selfish desires, we always want more, which plunges us into an endless cycle of ambition and frustration. The author explains that overcoming selfishness requires a fundamental change in our perspective. Instead of focusing solely on what we can get, we should ask ourselves how we can contribute. This shift in focus frees us from the limitations of the ego and allows us to experience greater connection with others and with life itself. Allen notes that when we act from a place of generosity and service, our actions not only benefit others, but also bring us deep satisfaction and inner peace. Allen introduces the concept of selfless love as the antithesis of selfishness. Selfless love leads us to act without expecting anything in return, simply for the good of others. This type of love not only transforms our relationships, but also purifies our mind and uplifts our spirit. According to Allen, selfless love is a force that connects us to universal laws and allows us to experience a deeper level of peace and happiness. The author also addresses how selfishness affects our relationships. He explains that relationships based on selfishness tend to be conflictive and unsatisfying, since each person is more concerned about what they can get than what they can give. On the contrary, relationships based on altruism and empathy are more harmonious and enriching, since they are based on mutual respect and the genuine desire to support the other. Allen reflects on the role of sacrifice in overcoming selfishness. Giving up our own interests for the well-being of others is not a sign of weakness, but of strength. This type of sacrifice not only benefits those around us, but also helps us develop virtues such as patience, humility, and compassion. Allen emphasizes that sacrifice does not always involve grand gestures. Often, it's the small daily acts of generosity that have the biggest impact. The author also mentions the importance of introspection to overcome selfishness. Honestly examining our motivations and actions allows us to identify when we are acting from a place of selfishness and gives us the opportunity to correct our course. The regular practice of introspection helps us cultivate greater self-awareness and act in ways that are more aligned with our values and principles. Another key point Allen addresses is how selfishness prevents us from achieving inner peace. When we are obsessed with meeting our own needs, our mind is constantly restless and worried. On the contrary, when we focus on serving others, we experience a sense of liberation and tranquility. Allen suggests that true peace can only be found when we transcend the limitations of the ego and live in harmony with the principles of love and service. The chapter concludes with an invitation to practice altruism as a way of life. James Allen encourages us to make selfless love and service to others a daily habit. By doing so, we not only transform our relationships and circumstances, but we also create a positive impact on the world. Allen reminds us that true greatness is not measured by what we get, but by what we give. This chapter leaves us with a fundamental teaching. Overcoming selfishness is the path to peace, happiness, and self-realization. By freeing ourselves from the shackles of ego and living from a place of love and generosity, we experience a profound transformation that enriches not only our lives, but also the lives of those around us. Alan invites us to embrace this path with courage and determination, knowing that the reward is a life full of meaning, purpose, and peace. Chapter 20. Success as a Result of Inner Harmony. James Allen concludes his work with a powerful reflection on success, explaining that it is not simply the result of favorable external circumstances or the accumulation of material goods. For Allen, true success arises from an inner harmony that is reflected in our actions, relationships, and experiences. This inner harmony, based on peace, mental clarity, and alignment with universal principles, is the key to achieving a full and meaningful life. Allen begins by explaining that external success is a direct reflection of a person's internal state. A mind in chaos and disorder will never be able to manifest lasting success, as the actions that emanate from it lack focus and purpose. On the other hand, a peaceful mind, full of positive and constructive thoughts, generates effective and aligned actions, creating the necessary conditions for success. Inner harmony, according to Allen, is the fertile soil in which external success grows. The author emphasizes that inner peace is an essential component of harmony. Peace is not found in the achievement of external goals, but in the ability to remain calm and clear even in the midst of challenges and adversity. This inner peace allows people to make wiser decisions and act with confidence and purpose. Additionally, a peaceful mind attracts opportunities and people who are in tune with that positive energy. Allen also emphasizes the importance of self-discipline to achieve inner harmony and, therefore, success. Self-discipline allows us to control our emotions, direct our thoughts, and act in a manner consistent with our goals and values. Without self-discipline, it is easy to fall into reactive behavior patterns that distance us from our aspirations. Allen notes that true success requires a constant commitment to personal growth and continuous improvement. Another key aspect of success, according to Allen, is clarity of purpose. Having a clear goal helps us focus our energy and direct our actions effectively. Without a defined purpose, it is easy to disperse our efforts in activities that do not bring us closer to our goals. Allen suggests that we take time to reflect on what we really want to achieve and why, and use this clarity as a guide for our daily decisions. The author also addresses the relationship between success and human relationships, explains that people who act with integrity, respect, and generosity tend to build relationships, solid and harmonious, that contribute to its success. On the contrary, those who act out of selfishness or dishonesty often face conflict and difficulties in their relationships, which limits their ability to thrive. Inner harmony not only improves our relationship with ourselves, but also with others. Allen reflects on how success based solely on material achievements or external recognition is unsatisfying if it is not accompanied by inner harmony. Many people achieve great levels of external success only to discover that they feel empty or dissatisfied. This, according to Allen, is because true success cannot be separated from inner peace and spiritual fulfillment. Genuine success is that which encompasses both external prosperity and internal fulfillment. The author also mentions that inner harmony allows us to better handle failures and challenges. A person at peace does not see failures as endings, but as opportunities to learn and grow. This resilient mindset is essential to overcome obstacles and continue moving towards our goals. Allen emphasizes that success is not the absence of failures, but the ability to use them as stepping stones to a higher level of achievement. The chapter concludes with a call to live a life of purpose, integrity, and harmony. James Allen invites us to cultivate our minds, our emotions, and our actions so that they are aligned with the universal principles of good, truth, and love. By doing so, we create a solid foundation for lasting success and experience a life rich in meaning and fulfillment. Allen's final teaching is that true success is not something we look for outside ourselves, but something we build from within. By cultivating inner peace, self-discipline, and clarity of purpose, we create the conditions necessary to achieve our goals and live in harmony with the world. This chapter leaves us with the certainty that success, in its highest form, is the natural result of a life lived in alignment with our best qualities and values. James Allen closes his work with a profound reflection on the transformative power of thought and conscious action. Throughout the book, he has guided us through universal principles that, when understood and applied, allow us to take control of our lives, overcome our limitations, and reach our greatest potential. In this epilogue, the author invites us to integrate these teachings and live in alignment with the highest ideals. Allen emphasizes that true fulfillment is not something found in the outside world, but rather an internal state of harmony, peace, and purpose. This state is accessible to everyone, regardless of external circumstances, as long as we are willing to work on ourselves and apply the universal laws that govern life. Fulfillment, according to Allen, is not a destination, but a continuous process of growth, learning, and transformation. The author reminds us that thought is the seed of all creation. Every action, every success, and every experience is a direct result of the thoughts we have cultivated in our minds. Therefore, the key to transforming our lives lies in transforming our mind. By consciously choosing thoughts of love, gratitude, trust, and generosity, we plant the seeds for a full and meaningful life. Allen also reflects on the importance of selfless service and unconditional love as paths to self-actualization. When we live not only for our own benefit, but to contribute to the well-being of others, we experience a deeper level of satisfaction and connection with life. This selfless service not only transforms our environment, but also our spirit, elevating us to a state of peace and fulfillment that transcends circumstances. The epilogue is also a call to action. James Allen encourages us to not only understand these truths, but to live them daily. Constant practice and sincere application of these principles are what will allow us to experience their transformative power. It is not enough to read or reflect. We must act with intention and commitment to create the life we want. Finally, Allen concludes with a message of hope. The path to fulfillment is open to all. No matter how difficult our current circumstances are or how many mistakes we have made in the past, we can always start again. Every moment is a new opportunity to choose thoughts, words, and actions that reflect the best of ourselves and bring us closer to our greatest fulfillment. The work of James Allen leaves us with a fundamental teaching. We are the creators of our lives. By taking control of our minds, living with purpose, and acting in harmony with universal laws, we can transform not only our circumstances, but also our being. This book is a powerful reminder that the power to change and grow has always been within us. The path to prosperity and fulfillment is in our hands. We have reached the end of this fascinating journey through The Path to Prosperity by James Allen, a book that not only invites us to reflect, but also gives us practical tools to transform our lives from the inside out. Throughout its chapters, we have learned that we are the architects of our destiny, that our circumstances are the result of our thoughts, and that true success comes from a disciplined mind, a generous heart, and a life lived with purpose. If this summary has inspired you as much as we did when creating it, we invite you to subscribe to our channel. We want you to continue being part of this community that seeks to learn, grow, and transform through the wisdom of great authors. Here you will find more long and detailed summaries created exclusively for you to continue feeding your mind and expanding your horizons. Remember that practice is the key. It is not enough to understand the principles shared by James Allen. It is necessary to apply them daily in our lives. Reflect on what you have learned here and take the first step towards your personal transformation. Your path to prosperity, peace, and fulfillment begins now. If you enjoyed this content, please like, comment, and share it with others who can benefit from this knowledge. Your support motivates us to continue creating more quality content for you. And if you want us to summarize another book that interests you, leave us your suggestion. We would love to continue this learning journey with you. Thank you for joining us in this exclusive summary of The Way to Prosperity by James Allen. See you in the next audiobook, where we will continue exploring the teachings that bring us closer to our best version. Subscribe and join our community. Until next time.